back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about A Fix with the Sontaran, written by Eric Saywood and directed by Marcus Mortimer. This was actually a small short that appeared in the TV series Jimmy Will Fix It, hosted by Jimmy Savile, and the show was basically kids. They come onto the show, write a letter, and they would basically live out their fantasies. And in Dix's example, a young kid named Gareth Jenkins wanted to be in Doctor Who. He was a fan of Doctor Who, and he wanted to be he wanted to meet Colin Baker. And so in the show, they actually made a small little mini episode for him to appear in. Now, I was originally going to talk about this story. For those of you who are really heavy into their continuity and stuff, if we did consider this canon, most likely it will take place a lot earlier than what I'm talking about. The Doctor is a little bit more in line with his TV appearance, even though he's a lot more nicer in this one. And as well, the intro music is from his first season and not his second season. The reason I didn't want to talk about this one is because of Jimmy Savile, who, for those of you who might not know, he was a sexual predator and a child molester. He used his influence at the BBC to get access to young children, specifically young girls, and basically take advantage of them. And so I thought it might have been best just to skip this one. However, I've decided to actually talk about this one for the factor of the fact that Colin Baker has stated, even right after this story aired, back in the 80s, before the stuff with Jimmy Savile became public, Colin Baker has stated that he absolutely bloody hated Jimmy Savile. He thought that he was a disgusting, creepy old man. And in one interview, Colin Baker even stated that he could see the boy Gareth Jenkins was really disappointed meeting with Jimmy Savile, thinking that he wasn't as charming as he was in real life. From what we know, Gareth was not a victim of Jimmy Savile's, thankfully. And so I decided to talk about this one because it is written by a series regular. It stars our cast, and in my own headcanon, when the bits with Jimmy Savile in it, I could just cut those out. They do feel really separate to the actual main plot of this adventure. But there's another reason I wanted to talk about this, because the story starts off with the Doctor basically rushing around his TARDIS control room. We later learn that there are Sontarans on the TARDIS, and that he's actually trying to get the teleporter to a transmission from Earth to teleport somebody very helpful to come onto the TARDIS to help him. And who does he get? Tegan Javanka, played by Jacqueline Fielding. Yes, she returns after her appearance in I can't remember which one is she in. Revelations of the Daleks? No, Resurrection of the Daleks, my apologies. And this is one of the reasons I really wanted to talk about this story, because this will be the only time that Jacqueline Fielding, Tegan Javanka, would be playing opposite side Colin Baker. And they really work well with each other. Despite the dialogue for them being what you could only describe as cringy, and the plot does feel really quick-paced and a bit more child-friendly, especially when we get later on into the story. I think that the actors, Jacqueline Fielding and Colin Baker, work off each other so well that I really hope that one day, like Big Finish, brings them back together in a similar sort of fashion where, like a companion guest appearance from a previous bygone era. I would have really liked to seen that. And they have like their bickering, and obviously, you know, this is Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor. He is known for his little bickering, but he's kind of toned down from his original television appearance. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he'd be working with a kid in this one. But also as well, Jacqueline Fielding's been a much more... she stands up for herself, and she has a much more bigger voice compared to Perry, who was the companion at the time when this was made. When they argue, it's like their personalities clash, and it's really just a lot of fun. It's not particularly great, I will admit. There's you got the really joke with the press the blue button, the other blue button kind of thing. But I just like the idea of... The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because Jacqueline Fielding's in it. So anyway, they... after messing around with the TARDIS consoles, the Doctor realises that the teleportation thing that uses to get Tegan there is still activating, and it's picked up someone and is coming to help. And so the Doctor and Tegan originally hide behind the console just in case it's someone dangerous. And when they peer out, they see a small child. I believe he was 10, 11 at the time. I could be wrong. This is Gareth Jenkins, played by Gareth Jenkins. And for some reason, he's wearing a Sixth Doctor costume. Behind the scenes, it's because one of the reasons why he got into the show is because his grandmother made him a Sixth Doctor costume that he wanted to basically show it off, so he wrote to the BBC to be like, I really want to meet Doctor Who, and my grandmother made a costume, blah 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 blah. So he got to wear his Sixth Doctor costume in the actual short. It doesn't make much sense. Like, they state that he could be a clone, but they also definitely point out the fact that he's from Earth. So maybe the Sixth Doctor's costume is actually fashionable and kids are wearing it. Again, the canonicity of this is very blurred, and it's something... It wasn't written to be like heavy drama. This is supposed to be a nice little fun entertainment to give a little kid what he wanted to be in a Doctor Who episode. And so it's written just like a fun little fluff. And when you think of it like that, I guess it's not too harmless in a way. It's kind of... what's the word? It's kind of harmless, kind of fluff. I know I'm just repeating myself, but you get the gist. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. That's what I'm trying to say. But it doesn't mean I can't still critique it and have fun just taking the mick out of it. And the Doctor tries to get Gareth Jenkins to help because he believes that Tegan's having no help. And this bit I actually do really like, when the Doctor's telling the kid, right, press the obsulator configuration, and then he does something that's like what Tom Baker and David Tennant would be known for, which is really long, heavy sci-fi words, obligating the actual fiction of the Daibong Ethnoc Rigicator and locate it to the egg formant delocator unit. And Tegan's like, Doctor, that's no such thing. And Colin Baker's like, Gareth, if you will. He presses the button, and then like the TARDIS makes like a noise. And then Colin Baker's like, I thought you just made those stuff up. I never make stuff up, Tegan. So I actually really like that bit. Is actually a really good little scene. Now let's talk. Gareth Jenkins' acting is obviously pants, but he's not an actor. He's never claimed to be an actor. This was for him to basically have an appearance in the show. So, and it's hardly in it. I mean, really, if you take the short on its own, he's hardly in it. He's only in it for like half of the story, but it's really, it is really bad. you can't help it. And I think he would agree as well. But anyway, so the Sontarans come smashing through the Doctor's door. They gave their names as Commander Nathan, which is the most un-Sontaran name in Sontaran history. And the other one is, I believe it's like Lieutenant Turner. This is, of course, a reference to John Nathan Turner, the series producer at the time. That could be a factor on why Colin Baker's Doctor isn't as brash as thing, as John Nathan Turner actually had no involvement in this particular short, so that's kind of interesting. And the Doctor introduces himself, Tegan, and his new friend Gareth Jenkins, and the Sontarans are surprised, they're shocked. It's like, Gareth Jenkins, it seems like we've got a bigger prize than we first thought. And they explained that in they come from the future, from the year 2001, in which Gareth Jenkins actually prevented a war between Earth and Sontarans as they tried to invade Earth, and that he was a great tactical leader in this, in stopping this invasion. I would have really liked to seen a story set in 2001, whereas his actual character, Gareth Jenkins, trying to stop a Sontaran fleet. I think that would have been really funny. Just a little nod to this. But I like to consider my headcanon. I like to think that that's true, that there was a Sontaran invasion in 2001. Remember that, guys, when Sontarans tried invading us in the year 2001? Good memories, good times. And so they basically captured him when he's a kid. And basically they're threatening to basically kill them. It's like, we've got one of the greatest leaders against the Sontaran military force. Kill him. Doctor, do something. And Colin Baker just literally grabs the gun and throws it into the Sontaran's face. I bloody love that bit. And after they go behind the console to hide, Gareth Jenkins actually presses a few buttons and does kind of, it's never seen again or since, makes real no sense. We never see anything like this prior or before, which doesn't make much sense into the little bit where we get on to now. And basically what happens, they kind of get gases, and one of them comes out from the wall, and another one comes out from underneath the console, and basically it like melts the Sontarans, killing them dead. And the Doctor's like, that's very clever of you, but how did you know to open the gas leak of the interlocking time mechanism rotating in the binary coordinated systems? Something like that, you know what I mean? Marble garble. And Gareth Jenkins is like, because I watched you do it on the telly. I seen you mess around with the TARDIS on the telly. And from my point of view, where my head canon, shall we say, because of obvious reasons, I would consider this the ending to the story. I like to consider, like, right after he says, I watched you on the telly, the credits roll, that's the end of it. So that's really all I really want to talk about. Of course, the short itself doesn't actually end. They look onto the TARDIS scanner and see Jimmy Savile's face, to which he then walks into the TARDIS and is like, did you enjoy yourself? He shakes Colin Baker and Jacqueline Fielding's hand. Colin Baker then gives Gareth Jenkins a Sontaran gun that he can take home with him, which I want to know, does he still own that? I would really like to know. That would be really cool if somebody still owned that. The fact that you came back, not only being in a short, but to prove it, you get back a prop of the Sontaran villains. That's just really cool. And yeah, watching Jimmy Savile, I would say watching Jimmy Savile in the context of what we now know. But I've seen this short many times prior to learning about the escapades of Jimmy Savile, and I still then found it incredibly uncomfortable and extraordinarily creepy. He just, something about him seems really off, and I think that's what really shocked the nation about Jimmy Savile, is that in a way it was really obvious. In fact, many people kind of behind the scenes of the BBC always heard rumours that Jimmy Savile is this creepy sexual predator, but because nobody really believed these rumours and just thought that it was just because he was some weird bloke who was a very strange man, does it then, that allows Savile to get away with so much, and that's why the history of Savile and his poor victims is such a very hard and tragic story for those victims who sadly fell into his influence, which is a real shame, and is not redeemed in any sort of fashion, any way you put it. But I decided to talk about this one because, apart from him appearing at the very end of it, and that this is obviously on his show, you can really separate it from him. He didn't write it, he didn't direct it. They were done by Marcus Mortimer and Eric Saywood, and we had the main cast, presumably, and so I decided to talk about it. Now, for those of you interested, the only way you can really find this story is by getting a copy of The Two Doctors, as it comes as a special feature, I believe prior to 2013, if I'm correct. I believe in 2012 was when when all of these allegations against him came out to an overwhelming majority of people, and so the BBC decided to take this special feature off in any other later releases. But I have the original 2003 release, which actually does come with this particular special feature. So if you're interested, I decide you try and track down a original copy if you can. It's not particularly amazing. You could kind of feel like it was toned down for a kid viewing. Obviously, this was this wasn't written to be hard-hitting drama. It's incredibly cringy and silly, especially seeing Gareth Jenkins in a Six Doctor's costume and nobody really bringing it up, and the Doctor working with basically a genius kid. But you know, it's part of Doctor Who history, unfortunately. And I suggest it's not like the worst thing ever. There are some things to like. For example, Jacqueline Fielding and Colin Baker really work off each other very well, and the Sontarans, despite being like only having what I would amount to really a cameo, I found them scenes incredibly funny and incredibly ridiculous that they thought this kid was this future freedom fighter against the Sontarans. So there you go, that's a fix with the Sontarans. So join me next time when the Doctor will be travelling around with Jamie McCrinnan as they wander around in a familiar place. So join me next time for Legend of the Cybermen. I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-ra!